Hello, this is Mark, and today's video lecture is going to be about multiplying fractions. Yay! Okay, so how do you multiply fractions? Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Okay, so let's take a simple example. Let's take this first one here. So we got 1/4 times 3/5. Okay. So how are we going to take care of that? Well, just like we said, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, that was pretty simple. Another thing you want to do when you multiply is, if you can reduce before you multiply, then that means you're multiplying by smaller numbers, and that usually makes your life easier. So how about the next one? Negative 21/4 times 22/19. So we look and we see, can we reduce anything? Because how do you reduce a fraction? Well, if you have a common factor in one of the numerators and one of the denominators. So one has to be in the numerator, one has to be in the denominator. If you've got a common factor in one of your numerators and one of your denominators, you can divide by that common factor. So in this case, I got a common factor of 2 of both 22 and 4, because 22 is divisible by 2 and 4 is divisible by 2. So then I just divide. So what's 22 divided by 2? 11. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. Okay. Now I multiply by those new numbers. So I'm going to have negative 21 times 22. So what do you come up with? Negative 231. Okay. And then 2 times 19. So what do you come up with there? 38. Now that is an improper fraction, but we'll talk about converting improper fractions to mixed numbers in another video. Okay. So let's go on to the next one. You have 12y cubed, negative 12y cubed over 13 times 2 over 9y to the 6. So before I multiply, I kind of scan this thing and see if I can reduce anything, if anything can reduce. So do I have any common factors? Well, here we got a 9 in one numerator, a 12 in another, 9 in the denominator, 12 in the numerator, and both of those numbers are divisible by 3, so I'm going to divide them by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is a 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay. So let's multiply those together, and I get negative 12y cubed, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8y cubed. 13 times 3 is 39, and then there's a y to 6. Now how do you reduce these variables with exponents? Well, I think we did it before. I'll say it again. You subtract the larger minus the smaller, and wherever the larger exponent was, that's where it's going to end up. So here we got y cubed over y to 6. Y to 6 is larger than y cubed, so I subtract 6 minus 3, which is 3, and since the larger one was in the denominator, we're going to leave the answer in the denominator. Okay. So after reducing that, we come up with negative 8 over 39y cubed. Okay. How about the next one? We've got negative 8y cubed over 13x to the 6 times 7x squared over 10y squared. So first thing I'm going to do is reduce. So what can reduce here? Well, 8 and 10 are both divisible by 2, so 5 divided by 2 is 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay. How about these exponents? Let's just do one exponent and then we'll do the other one. So x to the 6 in the bottom, x squared in the top. X to the 6 is bigger, so the result's going to be in the denominator over here. So x to the 6 minus x squared, 6 minus 2, that gives you 4. So that's going to be x to the fourth in the denominator, y cubed in your numerator, y squared in the denominator. Subtract those two, so that's 3 minus 2. So you have y to the first are just a y in the numerator because the bigger ones were in the numerator. Okay, let's multiply our result. So we got negative 4, okay, times 7. So what is negative 4 times 7? Negative 28. There was a y in the top, so I need to have a y in the top. Okay, 13 times 5, so what is 13 times 5? 65. There was a x to the fourth in the denominator here, so there needs to be x to the fourth in my answer. Okay, so that's that. Now let's look at the concept behind multiplying fractions. Okay, so I drew a little picture here. So let's say you got a pizza here, right? And you divide it up into 4. So you start off with one whole pizza, and if you sliced it into slices of 4, then one slice would be what? A fourth. Okay. Now let's say you took that 1/4 and you divided it into 2. Okay. And you take one of those slices. So how much is this slice right here of the whole? Okay. Well, how do you figure that out? Well, it came from a 1/4 piece. Okay. This piece right here. But you divided that 1/4 into 2. So that's 1/4 times 1/2. And 1/4 times 1/2 is what? 1/8. So in other words, if I take a whole pizza, divide it into 4, and take one slice, that's 1/4. If I take that 1/4 slice and divide it into half, to figure out how much that is of the original slice, it is 1/4 times 1/2, or 1/8 of the original whole. Okay, so that concludes my video lecture about multiplying fractions. You can look me up online, www.supergenius99.com. Thanks for watching.